to Combat Sports News. I am the huge one, Dave Coco from KocoSports.com or KocoSports.net. It's where the world comes to kick ass. Your home for combat sports and above all, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. I'm reading this right off KocoSports.net, posted by David Cooey. Anthony Joshua beats Wladimir Klitschko in the 11th round in front of 90,000 fans in Wembley. Man, it's awesome. Just hopefully this makes boxing fans come back. He retained the IBF belt and also added the WBA and IBO strap. Joshua landed one of the best shots of the fight with a huge right uppercut that rocked Klitschko's world. It didn't bring the big guy down, but it was the beginning of the end. As one boxing fan on Twitter wrote, that was the moment Klitschko's soul left his body. And Klitschko has not been stopped for 13 years prior to this. The last time came in 2003 when he was KO'd by Lamont Brewster. You can read more of the story down below. Also a link to KocoSports.net. This is the first time in a real long time that I was really excited for a heavyweight matchup. I thought it was an excellent. I was so excited to watch this fight. I really was. I don't know if it was the atmosphere. I don't know if it was, a great story, Ken Klitschko, which he's only 31, but everyone going into this is like, he's washed up, he's done, it's over, he doesn't have the chin, he can't last. It was weird. They were talking about him like he's 80 years old. He's only 31, he's past his prime, but still had some great fights. And this wasn't a grab fest. I was completely entertained by this fight. I would love to see a rematch. And Anthony Joshua did awesome in the early rounds of the fight. He did awesome, but like from the 6th round on, I thought Klitschko was going to make a comeback until the 11th round in that uppercut, and the ref had to jump in. Overall, I thought this was absolutely awesome. I grew up in the Mike Tyson era, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, that area of heavyweights, where heavyweights were huge deal in boxing, and hopefully this fight, it can spark that. And I know in England and Europe, boxing's still huge. Japan, where I live, boxing is really popular. It's on free television a lot, but it's the lower weight classes. But in America, it seems like if it's not Floyd and Manny, sports people ain't touching it, boxing people ain't touching it. And I hope this turns around, because right now, to me, I think the heavyweight division is the most important division for getting a lot of boxing fans on board. And the second thing is that I remember during Evander Holyfield's run, Tyson's run, George Foreman's later run, it was all about the heavyweight division, and it brought people in, and people were excited, and we talked about it. Nowadays, if it's not Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor is not even a boxer, Manny, it just seems like no one cares. And it's kind of weird, because I remember going to Mike Tyson's, watching Mike Tyson fights, going to the big heavyweight fights, and just hearing old fans talk about how great boxing was, talking about the Muhammad Ali days, the Rocky Marciano days, and people having conversations and people enjoying it and going crazy and just really love boxing. I just, nowadays, you have like, everyone thinks they're in Mayweather's family. Everyone's like, you don't know shit about boxing. You don't know shit about boxing. Everyone doesn't know shit about boxing. It's so funny too, because they're like always worried about the UFC and, MMA being, the sport of the future. But look how boxing fans treat each other. If it's a big fight that happens, everyone is like, oh, these experts are going to come out of the woodwork. Oh, they don't know shit about boxing. Rah, 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 rah. And I just hope the atmosphere changes. I want to see a great heavyweight division. I want to see people talking about boxing again. I want to see, back in the day, the bars would be packed. Back in the day, that's all people talked about. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's because of Mike Tyson and his popularity. But no, I think up until like Lennox Lewis, people still talked about the heavyweight division. People loved the heavyweight division. And I think you get a lot more fans and casual fans to come in during the heavyweight division and all that. But with this type of fight, man, this was an exciting heavyweight fight. It wasn't just grab, hold, and pray, defense, and all that. So I'm hoping that this sparks it sparked something in me. I'm not going to lie. It sparked something in me. It was the first time in a really long time that I was excited for a heavyweight fight. And in my opinion, it delivered. I thought Klitschko did great in the 6th round and beyond. I would definitely pay to see this rematch. And all that, but it's so popular in Europe, and I just hope that it catches on for the rest of the world. So congratulations to AJ. One hell of an uppercut. Love to see a rematch, and hopefully with these 9,000 fucking boxing titles, that's one thing that UFC does have right. But with these 9,000 boxing titles, we just have one dominant heavyweight champion again, and then we just rebuild the heavyweight division. Because if the heavyweight division is fun and exciting like this fight, I think it helps boxing. I really do, and I'm looking forward to. And maybe it'll never be that again. Maybe boxing is gone. Maybe it's what is Floyd Manny doing for the rest of our fucking lives, and maybe you gotta have a gimmick like Conor McGregor coming in and proving that boxing's better than MMA. Maybe that's the future of boxing, but that's not the future I want. I want to see a great heavyweight division, and I want to have people talk about it, go to the bars, be excited about boxing again. Hearing old men just tell me fucking great stories about boxing. Talking about who would be better. Is AJ better than Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali? Those were conversations you had back in the day. I mean, I remember we would debate, could Mike Tyson beat Muhammad Ali for hours on end. It would go on forever. I don't think, since Lennox Lewis and maybe even prior to Lennox Lewis, maybe I'm giving Lennox Lewis too much credit. It never seemed to be that way, but it was a very exciting boxing heavyweight fight, and 90,000 people. Europe, they still love their fucking boxing. I hope it gets back to America, and I hope it becomes a worldwide phenomenon again. So it sparked something in me to be a boxing fan, to watch that fight, and it's been for a really long time. So hopefully this builds, and hopefully we get more excited about boxing. But boxing fans, be fans again. Jesus fucking Christ. Talking to boxing fans on Twitter and Facebook is fucking depressing. It really is. It's like everyone is Floyd Mayweather. Every single person. They're like, you don't know shit about boxing. And it's so funny too, because when a big fight comes, they're like, oh, here comes all these people talking about boxing. And then when the big fight is gone, they're like, why doesn't anyone talk about boxing? I don't know, maybe because we're being dicks to each other. But yeah, I enjoyed this fight a lot. If you can go check it out, definitely do. And I'd love to see a rematch, and I'd love to see the heavyweight division. And maybe I'm wrong. Do you think for boxing to be popular in America and worldwide again, does the heavyweight division have to be strong? Because I think it does. I think if it's just if it's just 3 or 4 stars that are getting up in age and you're not replacing those stars, then I think you got to rebuild the heavyweight division. You just got to, I don't know. I just don't want to see boxing be a bunch of old men going, you don't know shit about boxing. Because when I was a kid, that's what it was. It wasn't that. It was not that at all. And sadly, I think that's what it's becoming. Anyway, more you can read down below. Check out the link, KocoSports.net, and hopefully we can do more of this. And with that, I am over.